Hello again everybody, it's Martin Edwards from Me So Healthy Too. It's nice to be back. It's been a little while since I made a video and I apologise about that. I can give you a good reason as to why that's the case. I upgraded to a new camera, right, and I got myself a microphone as well. Okay, I figured you guys deserved, you know, the best that I could offer, so I figured I'd spend a little bit of money and try and give you what you guys deserve, which is a better quality video, and then educating myself and so educating anybody else out there who's interested in knowing a little bit more about ways to improve their health. Now this week I want to talk about garlic. Now the reason I want to talk about garlic is because it's one of those foods that's described as a superfood. What specifically is garlic good for? I figured it's not just a garnish, an addition to food in order to make it taste nice, which it does, but really what are the health benefits of ingesting garlic on a regular basis? So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Now first of all, garlic has been harvested for over 5,000 years, and it was introduced to us from the Egyptians, and the Egyptians were a very well educated civilization that were much more advanced than a lot of other civilizations during their time. So now garlic, it's very good at, as we know, fighting off bacteria and viruses. Now such viruses like E. coli and Salmonella, they're intestinal viruses that will make you throw up, literally, give you diarrhea, in severe cases dehydrate you and have you pass blood in your stool. Anything that might be able to tackle E. coli, if you are unfortunate enough to get it, one of those things is garlic. There was a lady many years ago who worked in Parliament, and she was the food educational advisor for the UK. I can't remember her name, I'll put it down below, but she very famously was quoted saying that eggs are the cause of salmonella when they are not properly cooked. You might remember that period. So everybody then was in a panic about making sure that their eggs had solid yolks inside, no runny yolks anymore. That was frowned upon. Salmonella you can get from undercooked foods. I don't know if the whole egg thing is still in play, but it's definitely something that's stuck in the consciousness of a lot of Brits. And so if you are going to eat a meat, some sort of food product from an animal, I would recommend that you cook it well. If you're unfortunate enough not to, and you catch a bug, garlic is something that you can add to your diet in order to combat the chances of, or if you have, the effects of E. coli and bacterial infections. When I mention bacterial infections, I'm talking about things like fungal infections, general bacterial infections, yeast infections, those sorts of things. Garlic is very good at combating those in general. It's classed as an antibiotic, a natural antibiotic. Now if you're anybody who's taken antibiotics, you know that most antibiotics, despite the fact that they might be focused on a particular ailment that you have, they are systematic. They will knock everything out of your system, whether it's good or bad. It will kill it all off. If you're going to take a natural antibiotic as a means of staving off systematic illnesses that might occur, then garlic is a very good choice. If you do have a specific problem that garlic cannot tackle, then it's an idea then to go to your GP and get some antibiotics. Never fear going to the GP and them giving you an idea as to what's wrong with you. If you do have a bacterial infection, go there first. It's best then to find, if you possibly can, a natural antibacterial property that can assist the medication that they're going to give you. The thing about antibiotics, like I said, they knock out everything in your body. That's why there's now a big thing about not taking antibiotics for a cold. It does not fight the common cold. And there's a generation of people out there who have taken antibiotics and now they're suffering to this day because their immune system is compromised. And so those are the kind of people who then have to worry a lot about taking friendly bacteria. The antibiotics have killed not just the bad bacteria, but the friendly bacteria as well. So always be mindful about taking antibiotics. Once you do finish your course of antibiotics, it's recommended that you should wait at least a week because it'll still be in your system, and then taking some antibacterial properties, and making sure also that you take something to bolster your friendly bacteria. So that's a very good tip. Now, garlic is also meant to improve your metabolism of zinc. If you are somebody who then has low energy levels, if you're somebody who suffers from chronic fatigue, ME, and there could be a whole host of underlying reasons why you have chronic fatigue. Of course there are. That's the thing about chronic fatigue. It's difficult to pinpoint why you're suffering from it. It's generally classed as a viral infection. But, you know, it comes under, you know, IBS. Do you know what I mean? What might be causing it specifically is unknown. Zinc is one of those things that you should look into. Not only if you're somebody who likes to exercise and work out, is zinc good for energy levels, but it's very good in general if you are feeling fatigued for long periods of time. You might be low in zinc, and that's worth going to the GP for and getting a blood test to check. You might be surprised, but what garlic does is it helps you metabolize the zinc in your body, or helps your body to metabolize zinc in general, and so then it's going to help you with your immune system, because you're going to have more energy as well, and fight viral infection that you might have. And it could be because you're not getting enough zinc. So zinc is definitely worth thinking about, and garlic contains that. It contains something called diallyl sulfides. And that's what gives it its pungent smell, and that smell actually does have a lot of properties. I'll talk more about the smell later, because the smell's a whole thing, and that, you know, that's the whole argument about garlic and, oh, you smell a garlic, and, you know, that's a garlic on your breath. It really does sort of hamper the amount you're able to ingest because of that smell sometimes. I'll talk about the smell in a moment. Along with one of the benefits, or one of the many benefits of garlic, it helps lower cholesterol. Cholesterol can actually be hereditary, and so you can have high cholesterol without actually eating an unhealthy diet. So genetically you might suffer from high cholesterol, and if you do, your doctor will be able to check for that and see what your cholesterol levels are like. But ingesting garlic, it does actually help manage your cholesterol. So, you know, if you're worried about thinning of arteries, plaque in your arteries, it actually does help remove those. So it's very good for your heart, is garlic. It's one of those foods that really does have a Ayurvedic approach in your body, so it could stave off heart attacks and things like strokes, because it's also a blood thinner. Now, you need to be careful when you ingest high amounts of garlic for obvious reasons. Blood is supposed to naturally clot when it leaves the body, but if you're thinning your blood too much, if you are unfortunate enough to be in an accident, for example, your blood is gushing out of you because, you know, you've had severe injury, then the thinning of the blood isn't a good idea, because then your blood's not going to stop and it's going to keep flowing out of you, and, you know, that's dangerous, obviously. So as to how much garlic you should ingest, you need to be careful. But it's always worth going to your GP and finding out what your cholesterol levels are like, and then, you know, if they are a little too high, then rather than going down the medication route, hopefully you don't have to go down that route. You can instead take something like garlic as a means of helping manage your cholesterol level. So it helps boost your immune system. Now, like I said, that's coupled with the zinc, so because zinc gives you energy. It has lots of different compounds in it that I'll mention in a moment, but it really is quite a superfood because it does contain lots of compounds that you'll find in a host of other different foods that you might have. But this is, I mean, because garlic is generally used as a garnish, it's something you can add to a food group that already has its own good properties about it. And so you really are just bolstering your meals, you know, at dinner time by adding, you know, just a clove of garlic. It's amazing. When you're cooking with garlic, you need to be careful. Depending on how you cook it, of course, you're going to lose a lot of the qualities, the goodness out of those foods. And garlic is no different. A lot of people do add it to their foods, and of course you would, because it is generally used as a garnish. You don't want to cook it whole. That's a mistake that a lot of people might make. Roasting a garlic, you've superheated it to a point where there are no properties left in it that are actually good for you. You've taken all those properties out because you've overheated it. So the best way to get the best effect is to crush it or chop it finely. Then leave it for a few minutes. It will begin to oxidize, and then those sulfites and the acetylene, those two main components in garlic, then have a chance to actually be released, and then that is when you get garlic at its most potent. When you ingest garlic, you don't want to chew it, only because then it does smell very strong and people won't want to sit next to you on the bus. My mum always used to say that. You know, don't chew it, don't why are you having so much garlic? People will not want to sit next to you on the bus. And it's true, you know, garlic has one of those smells, it's very apparent on somebody's breath. Too much of it, you know, it's going to come through your pores. It's not particularly nice in that respect. To taste it is, to smell it on people isn't. So just be mindful of how much that you are intaking. It does take a few hours for it to actually break down inside your stomach once you've ingested it. I read an article that said that you should have garlic throughout the day, okay, rather than one large amount in one go. But it will take at least 1 hour for it to start then breaking down in your body. And so there's a whole hour in which it's not doing anything. And then of course on top of that, you're going to be then eating other things throughout the day. And so like a time release capsule, such as vitamin C or vitamin B, which you could buy in time release, it might then be an idea if you do space out your garlic intake so that you are getting it throughout the entire day and not just one large dose of it, and then rely on that to get you through the day when it takes at least an hour for it to break down, and then it's got to circulate through your system. And during that time, you know, it's obviously going to get weaker and weaker in your system because you're breaking it down more and more and more. So it's best to then take little amounts more often when it comes to taking garlic and getting its most beneficial effect. It's also an aphrodisiac, so say the Egyptians 5,000 years ago. I don't know if that still holds up, but because it is known to increase the circulation in your body, it does actually have a reputation for increasing your fertility. Good circulation means that, you know, all your extremities are going to be filled with blood as and when you need them to. So then it might very well improve your sex life. So the aphrodisiac part of it, I don't know about that. So that's something to think about. Garlic versus cancer. There are lots of different cancers out there, and there are a whole host of different reasons why you might get cancer. I don't know if it's been proven to actually, it's no cure for cancer obviously, but because of a lot of its beneficial properties, it might help stave off cancer. More than likely, I say more than likely, but this is only going on what I know about its effect on the gut, and so it might then stave off stomach cancer, possibly, you know, colon maybe. Anything that, you know, might give you the upper hand, you know, the extra edge on combating cancers, then it's worth considering taking some garlic into your diet on a daily basis. Can't hurt. Now, because of its antibiotic properties, it's very good for earache, apparently. There are some products on the market that do contain garlic. So obviously then pharmaceutical companies have recognised the fact that there are some natural supplements out there that do actually complement your health. And they've obviously been able to utilise a lot of these properties in their own products so that they can benefit you. It could be a bit of a fad in that respect because, you know, a lot of companies are jumping on the bandwagon when it comes to ingredients in their products that are the hot topic for the month, such as aloe vera. You know, there was a time where, you know, you never heard of aloe vera. It was one of those exotic plants that a lot of people hadn't even heard the word of before, and then suddenly it's in shampoo and hair products. I don't know if it actually makes a difference to your hair quality at all. And this is another one of those. But because it has antibacterial properties, it might very well have a beneficial effect to certain infections, and so an earache infection, it makes sense. If you're somebody who suffers from hay fever, and you don't have to suffer from hay fever during the summer, it might be one of those more heightened seasons of the year where people are more susceptible to sinus problems, the pollen in the air during that time of year. And hay fever is also known by the name allergic rhinitis, and basically it just means that you might be allergic to all sorts of common things out there. House dust, which a lot of people are allergic to, and if you're allergic to that, then it comes under the same general heading as hay fever. Pet hair, for example, well, it's not pet hair that people are allergic to, that's another myth actually. It's not the hair of your pet that you're allergic to. It's the saliva that your pet has when licking itself. And those compounds are then left on the hair, and it's that you're allergic to. The natural histamine is garlic. If you are somebody who suffers from hay fever, dust in general, say pets, then adding garlic to your diet, some sort of beneficiary effect on your symptoms. So as an antihistamine, mosquito bites, it helps fend off mosquitoes, and it works as an antiseptic on their bites as well. That's due to the compound acetylene. Now mosquitoes have now caught on to this acetylene property in garlic. It's believed that the smell of garlic might actually be a deterrent for mosquitoes. I've never actually tried it. I went to Dominica some years ago. They're just prolific. There's mosquitoes everywhere. Even like the locals were suffering. Do you know what I mean? Live in the country and like, you know, you yourself, like, you know, haven't still gotten quite used to the mosquito epidemic. So next time you go on holiday, you know, another good reason to find an excuse to put some garlic in your food and say to hell with anybody who doesn't like the smell, because you're going to get less mosquito bites than the person next to you. And also because it's good for your sinuses, I touched on the fact that it's an antibacterial, and so if you have asthma and such, and it helps your immune system, you know, helps with your sinuses in general, well then it might actually give you a sounder sleep as well. That's only because then if you have a cold, you know, you have the sniffles and you're then finding it difficult to get comfortable, and, you know, you're feeling really irritable in bed, you know, because it does help combat a lot of those viral infections, then you might actually get a sounder sleep. If you are an insomniac and you suffer from insomnia and having a cold isn't going to help, during those periods take some garlic as well, and it might actually give you a sounder sleep. But when it comes to garlic, because of that smell that I mentioned, because you know, mosquitoes don't like it, you know, good, but because of that smell, is it best then to take it raw or to have it in supplement form? Now, like I said, it's the acetylene that really does the job. That's the compound that consists of lots of other different elements in it that really does help your body, and so that's what you really want from the garlic. The smell in itself, you know, the smell, unless you're a mosquito, you know what I mean? In raw pod form as opposed to the capsule form, the bonus is that it doesn't smell. That's the bonus of it. And of course then you don't have to worry about having to extract the acetylene from it, because it's already there inside the capsule, and that's what you really want. Garlic is made up of acetylene and sulfides, and they both pretty much do the same job. Acetylene is what you really want, and in a capsule form you'll get acetylene. You know, it will be all acetylene really. I have it crushed and I put it in water, swish it around, and I drink it. It tastes awful. I do that because it's natural. I like to take things as readily natural as I can, and I've taken a few capsules at a time a day. And also, if if it is recommended that you take garlic throughout the day in small amounts, then why not take one garlic capsule in the morning and then one in the evening, right? Or, you know, follow the instructions on the label, of course. And that's the funny thing about a lot of these labels. They might say take 1 spoonful or 1 capsule 1 to twice a day. So then how much do you really take? You know, you don't want thinning of the blood to the extreme, whereas then, you know, you have an injury, you know, heaven forbid it's a serious one, and they can't stop the bleeding, right? I was seeing a holistic doctor, and because of my conditions, they suggested that I take as much garlic as I can tolerate. And how much is enough? You know, how much can you tolerate? Well, your body will tell you. I've seen that a lot of people have taken between 1 and 2 garlic pods a day. I was taking up to 5. For me, it was difficult to take because they recommended it in raw form as well. You can buy it ready chopped in a bottle in a supermarket. It's called lazy garlic, so it's already chopped for you, but then it's got things like white wine in it, and you know, white wine vinegar, and I don't want the white wine vinegar. So if you can have it raw, have it raw. If you want to put it in your food, put it in your food. Just don't superheat it. As for losing weight, I don't know about that actually. Garlic apparently helps slow down the formation of fat cells, which then does kind of make sense because it does help with your cholesterol, and cholesterol, as we know, are blocking of the arteries due to plaque and fatty deposits in your arteries. It is then likely that it does help break down fat in your body in general. If anybody has introduced garlic and has found that it's helped them lose weight, noticeably lose weight, yeah, leave a comment down below and let me know, because that's fascinating in itself as well. You know, it might help unblock arteries, but you know, fat on the hips, a fat gut, does it help assimilate that fat and help you get rid of it as well? I don't know. You know, it kind of makes sense, so maybe there's something in that. So interesting. If anybody has any anything to add to that, then yeah, leave a comment down below and let me know. Garlic contains a compound called guaiacol. What it is, that's the liquid in the garlic. It's odorless. It's that odorless liquid you get if you were to squeeze it. Now that's very good for skin. So if you had ringworms or athlete's foot, it's very good for combating that. Now, how you might actually use that readily on your skin, I'm guessing you might chop a bit of garlic in half, you would rub it on the infected area, because adding something directly, it might then very well have an effect. So perhaps then if you have like a fungal nail infection, and those things are a bugger to get rid of, you know, no matter what you might buy on the market that says use this and you know your nail will look from this and it's all like some scraggly old nail to this and it's all some sprightly sparkly thing, you know, it still takes a long time for it to work. And those fungal nail treatments are not cheap. You know, you look at one of those on the shelf, it's like 20 quid or something. It's like, what? It's one nail, 20 quid, and it might take 6 months, you know what I mean, for it to work, and I get my money back after 2. Do you know what I mean? But the receipt would have expired by then, so I've just wasted 6 months, you know what I mean, doing this thing that, you know, says that it's amazing. Anyway, but garlic might be a substitute. Rub a bit of garlic onto a fungal nail for a few months and let me know how you get on. It can't hurt. You'll save yourself a buckload of money. A fungal infection is a bacterial infection, and so why not give it a go? And if you've tried that, then let me know, leave a comment. If you're going to try it, I'd love to find out. I take it on an empty stomach because I'm generally taking it for my stomach, because it helps with IBS. And me, I put garlic on everything. If I can help it, I put garlic on everything. I'm one of those people, when I've discovered something and I recognise that the health benefits are gonna really help me out, I start going overboard. I do. I'm like, oh, garlic's amazing, right? Oh, I remember it's good for this and it's good for that. So I've bought some dried garlic. I've got some garlic in a garlic crusher, right? Bought it from the shop. So you know, crushed garlic. And I put loads on there, right? It takes the mick how much I put on there. And then later on that night, I might have, you know, 5 pods of crushed garlic as well. So I really am pushing my luck. I've got a person we support in my care home who's very sensitive to smells and everything else as well. He's very hypersensitive. I don't know if my other staff mates are being really polite and not mentioning anything, but I don't notice any garlic on my breath, but he smells it. If you are sort of, you know, really mindful of other people around you, which you should be, you know, no point upsetting other people if there's an alternative to getting the same beneficial results that you want yourself, then go for odorless garlic, go for capsules on an empty stomach. It's funny because when I went to see my holistic practitioner, and I was taking it for my stomach condition at the time, they recommended that I take as much garlic as I can tolerate. How much garlic is that? Well, you know your body well enough to know how much you can tolerate anything. If you're getting a serious gag reflex when you're drinking down 3 crushed cloves of garlic, that's probably then your tolerance level. But of course you can overdo it, and too much of anything, as you know, is bad for you. It really then is quite a strong, potent tonic. As far as I'm aware, garlic in high doses is poisonous. I'll show you this actually. This is what the practitioner gave me. Intestinal Formula 1. It's not easy to get hold of. It's readily available in America. It has senna in it, so that was obviously to help me clear up my system, if you like. But you know, it's got aloe vera, Hawaiian yellow ginger root, oregano roots. Oregano is very good for you as well, actually. There's an entire garlic bulb in 1 capsule. So I was given this, and it does say take 1 a day, but they recommended 4 a day. So the entire senna leaf and pod in 1 capsule with a pod of garlic to be taken 4 times a day. That's what they told me. So the manufacturing serving size went out the window. That's why it's always best, if you are going to take more than your usual amount of anything, that you see an expert about it in an ideal world. So how much garlic can I tolerate? Okay, let's find out. I was having 5 pods of raw garlic a day, plus 4 of those. That's an extra 4 pods. That's 9 pods of garlic a day, and it was recommended I take them for 2 months. You know, when I was going to the toilet, I noticed beneficiary effects. Then it wasn't too much for me, but I was to only take it for a limited amount of time. That was 9 pods of garlic. Having done my research, I've come across 1 or 2 doses, or 1 or 2 pods a day as a general intake. That a general rule of thumb is 1 to 2 a day. Okay, so if you're somebody who isn't readily suffering from anything that you're aware of that is causing you a discomfort at this moment in time, you don't need to take as many as 9 pods of garlic. What I do is I take it at night. It's on an empty stomach, because when you're sleeping, that's when your body recovers from any stresses of the day, as well as the fact that, you know, I don't want people to sort of shun away from me because I've eaten garlic that day. How much you could tolerate is up to you. But the practitioner didn't ask me, you know, how much can you tolerate, or, you know, give me a number. He didn't give me a number. So I ingested 5 because I could tolerate 5. It didn't taste very good, but I could tolerate 5. Plus he gave me 4 of those. And I did see some beneficiary effects, I must be honest with you. I'll tell you why I took it as well, actually. It's because I forgot to actually, because it's a process of having to peel the garlic skin off and then crush the garlic and do that 5 times, and, you know, and then drink it. And so if I do forget, then I might take 1 or 2 of these. The compounds in garlic, you know, every food, everything has compounds within it, and it's these things that actually help. So one of the things is sodium. Sodium is salt. Somebody recently at work vomited. They were sick, physically sick, and felt that they were going to collapse. Took themselves to the doctors, and the doctor told them, you're low in salts. Well, I've been low in salts as well, actually, not realising it. The food governing body suggests that you need to lower your sodium amount, because in the UK sodium intake is very high, but you need to get the right levels of salt. You can't just take salt out of your diet. I was adding a lot of low sodium salts to my food, so I'm thinking it's low sodium, yeah, it tastes like salt, so I can still appreciate the taste of my food, yet my salt intake is going to be low, which is a good thing, right? No, you need to have salt in your diet. She blacked out, and she was told it's because she was low in sodium. Which is funny, because she eats a lot of microwave meals, and they're generally high in salt, aren't they? Not just fat, but salt. Salt as well also helps with your nerve impulses, not just in your extremities, but in your head as well. Your nerve impulses are improved when you're ingesting enough sodium in your diet. And muscle contraction as well helps with your muscle contraction. So I suppose I can, you know, bend my leg freely. You know what I mean? I don't know, but it helps with your muscle contraction. If there's one thing in your body that contracts a lot, it's your heart, right? Because it pulses all the time, it pumps. So there's constant contraction there. So that being the case, then, in staving off heart attacks. Garlic also contains potassium. You can find in bananas. Tennis players eat a lot of bananas. You may have noticed that between sets, they'll always have a mouthful, and that's because it staves off muscle cramps. Potassium builds protein in the body. Everybody should take potassium because it's good for your muscle synthesis, and it breaks down carbohydrates as well. Diabetes is something that this stuff is good for. Not to say that if you are diabetic, put down the insulin, pick up a clove of garlic. It helps you then balance out your insulin levels in your body. So another good reason to take garlic. And garlic also contains selenium. Selenium, I believe, is a B vitamin. B vitamins are generally good for your nerves and energy. Then there's talk about selenium and cancers. And so then the argument is to then help stave off the potential of getting cancers. There could be something in it, because it's said that parasites can very well be one of the reasons that we might get cancer. And bad bacteria, as far as I'm aware from the research I've done, there is a relationship between the two. But of course I'm not a doctor. I wouldn't pretend to know as much as a qualified doctor would know about cancer. But it's another thing worth thinking about when it comes to good health and what you might be able to do to stave off any horrible, debilitating symptoms. Some people who are actually prone to hay fever might very well be allergic to garlic. It's been known aren't able to tolerate certain foods. But if you can tolerate garlic, take it because of its whole range of health benefits that I've mentioned. You can tolerate anything after a while, as long as you just take it in small amounts, then you can build up your tolerance level. You just have to reprogram your brain and tell yourself, I'm taking this for medicinal purposes if that's the case. When you're able to accept that sort of mindset, then you can take things. Garlic also contains something called silicone. Now, silicone, I don't mean the kind you put in your body in order to enhance certain parts of your anatomy. Silicone is a compound that helps strengthen bone, muscle tissue, and good for your skin and hair. Vitamin wise, vitamin C. I've done 3 videos on vitamin C if you're interested in those. The different types of vitamin C's that I've tried. But you can readily find vitamin C in foods, and one of those foods are garlic. It also contains vitamin D, as you might know you can get from just natural sunlight. Vitamin D you can get in supplement form. It's called vitamin D3. Whatever happened to 1 and 2 I don't know. Maybe like the new iPhone, maybe next year there'll be a 4. I read an article that said that vitamin D3 was good for IBS. That was an article I came across and I thought that was quite interesting. I do take it. If you're going to take vitamin D, I recommend you take it at night, because then obviously there's no sun to be had, as energy levels are expected to be low. So then take something to keep your energy levels up. Not that it's going to keep you awake. It's definitely during the winter periods anyway. So my schooling about garlic today. So not only does it taste good, but we now know what it's good for and what it consists of. Thank you very much for joining me. Please subscribe if you're interested in my channel. Generally way it's going to stay up is if I get more subscribers. YouTube is funny that way. It's funny because I got 1,000 views on my very first video. That was about diatomaceous earth, and that was my first video. But over 1,000 views, which is amazing. Thank you guys for watching those videos and every video I've made since. There must be something about that one. I don't know what it is, but I'm just really grateful to have the opportunity to do this. Anyway, I've always wanted to make YouTube videos. I love films, I love movies, and so, you know, I was always thinking about doing something about that, but I really am quite a novice when it comes to discussing movies. I'm very much, I like it, if you don't, what's wrong with you? And that's just the wrong sort of attitude to have, so I've just knocked that on the head. But this has actually been very much a blessing. This is Martin Edwards signing off. Take care of yourselves and everybody else out there who's worth giving a shit about. You are the most important thing in this universe, and your loved ones are right beside that. If you don't look after yourself, then you ain't going to be able to look after anybody else. So take care of yourself. Leave comments down below. Anybody who would like to get in touch, do that. I'll get back to you. I will. I'm really grateful. 1,000 subscriptions, and I'd be even more grateful, you know, just so I can keep doing this because I really enjoy it. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Bye bye.